palms and repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
Keeping the palms joined. Good, palms down. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Intro to Buddhism and Meditation from the Dharma Temple. Nice to be here and sit with you all wherever you are. So those of you who are used to joining us on YouTube, and maybe those are for the first time, on the right side of your screen, there's a little chat box. And just popped into my head, as most of my classes do, is why don't whoever wants to or is comfortable, I think it's good based on a few things I've heard, why doesn't everybody put in one word, just describing how you feel right now. Again, if you're not used to doing a class on YouTube, right side of the screen most likely, or maybe at the bottom there's a chat box, and just type one word that kind of describes how you feel right now. And one thing I think that's really important for people as we continue through this, this time, is to begin to become very comfortable and very real with how they're feeling, and not get so swayed one way or the other by, social media or news or whatever it might be, but to just ask yourself, how am I feeling? Not how do others want me to feel, how are others telling me to feel, because most of the world right now is telling you to be living in fear, or to be completely oblivious to what's going on. It's kind of two ends of the spectrum from what I hear in my all of 10 minutes a day following it. So forget for a minute what other people tell you to think and feel, and just ask yourself, how do I feel right now? And if you want, go ahead and share that. I think it's also nice for other people, especially those of you who are used to being here and sitting with so many other people, familiar faces, familiar names. Some of you maybe have sat together for 3 years and don't even know each other's names, but you've sat next to each other and shared space together. And so I think it's important that we continue to cultivate the community and feeling comfortable sharing time and space together. So with that being said, do you want to share maybe 2 or 3 words? If anyone shared them.
Bill shared hopeful.
Hopeful.
Marisa shared conflicted.
Conflicted.
Tom shared uncertain.
Uncertain. Is that one word or 2? Uncertain. I'm hoping it's a Tom, and I think it is, and that therefore, of course, anytime Tom says anything, I'd have to give him a hard time. So we will accept that as a one-word response. Anything else? Anyone else want to share a word?
Vanessa shared content.
Content.
Chuck shared comfortable.
Comfortable. Nice. Yeah, content, comfortable. Even in these words, it's not a matter of looking at them as right or wrong or good or bad, but just, over these last couple months, there's probably been moments where you all felt content or comfortable or conflicted or confused or uncertain. It's great. That's life. That's part of being human. Anything else?
Kathleen shared worried.
Worried.
Jamie shared relaxed.
Relaxed.
Mackenzie shared curious. And Sabine shared privileged.
Curious and privileged. Yeah. The curious is, it's interesting because, so the person was it Mackenzie who said curious?
Yes.
So Mackenzie, is this your first time joining us?
And Tom also responded that it's one word.
Thanks, Tom. But did you have to Google that, or did you know? Don't answer that. Mackenzie, is this your first time joining us? I was curious because when you said curious, often a lot of the words were about maybe larger emotions or larger feelings about what's going on around us. And when I hear curious, to me, that reminds me of someone who might be brand new to this and sort of curious about this experience. Yeah? New?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Which is great. And I'll share this last thought before we start meditation, is that, and same thing with privileged. I'm guessing Sabine with privileged, obviously humbled and honored that you feel privileged to be here and sit with us all. But those two, curious and privileged, are related to this very moment and this experience. The other words, not that they're wrong or anything like that, are related to feelings we have about what's going on outside right now, out of our control. What's happening right now, again, the beginner's mind. Most of you have heard me talk about Zen mind, beginner mind. The beginner's mind is, what is this experience? So if we think of all the words that were shared, right, confused, uncertain, conflicted, those are all about something else. But curious and privileged are about this. And so for the next short period of time, all we're going to do is this, whatever this is. And then once we're done doing this, whatever this is, we will wrap up at the end, and then you'll go do that. And in that moment, that will be this. So the beginner's mind of, I'm curious right now. I'm curious about what is this meditation going to be like? What is this experience going to be like? How is this going to feel? That's that curiosity that just allows us to be with things as if we've never been there before. And for you, Mackenzie, you've never been here before, so the curiosity is great. For many others, we're looking for answers and solutions to the problems we have or the difficulties we're facing. And to me, the practice is about learning to be with this. So I'll leave it at that for now. We'll start with a meditation practice. For those of you who might be new, a couple things I'll tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you. You won't float away. You won't have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long will not shut off. Don't judge your practice. Don't ask yourself, is this working? Is it not working? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? We're just going to sit and we're going to breathe. Your mind will not stop racing, especially for those who are new or doing meditation for the first time. Often you think that your mind is supposed to shut off or go blank. It'll never shut off. It won't go blank. You would end up telling yourself, think nothing, think nothing, think nothing, and that's still thinking. So your mind is going to race. I will say things periodically to remind you that you're lost in thought and bring you back to the present moment. Most important is don't expect anything. If you're waiting for some grand aha moments or deep realizations, you'll be pretty disappointed. So posture, if you are on a cushion, often it helps slide into the front third. Pushing the stomach forward allows the back to straighten. Shoulders are relaxed. Hands can be on the knees or in the lap, whatever's comfortable. If you're on a chair, sitting up straight. If you're on a couch, staying awake. If you're laying in bed, definitely staying awake. And I will guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. And starting with the eyes closed if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And eventually, settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus, to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, feel them fall. Simply going to continue this practice, observing sensation of breath, expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. And as the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it. Release that thought. Return attention. Focus to the breath. There's your mind. Lost in thought. Return attention. Focus to the breath. Keeping the mind alert. Aware of each sound. Each thought. each physical sensation. Yet concerned with nothing but sitting, breathing. Letting go of expectations. Letting go of judgments from the practice. Just sitting, breathing. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sound, and the mind learning to settle. Know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do. Nowhere else to go. No one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. And once again, taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And as you slowly open the eyes, slowly begin to move. And most important, with the practice of meditation, is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare that to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. Ask yourselves how you prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, it's quiet, calm, still, or a busy mind, racing mind. Whatever you're sitting with at this moment has nothing to do with anything I said. Has nothing to do with how you sit, nor the hands across the legs. Has nothing to do with the sounds around you or anything else for that matter. Has everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samuppada, means dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakened. He was a human being, no different than any one of us, who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. What that means, very simply, for all of us, regardless of where you come from or what you believe in and where you think you're going, your whole life is filled with things that happen, and you react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's what we get every day. The practice of meditation is learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way you responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond to everything else that's happening throughout your day. So all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. This is not an easy practice. It's not necessarily a fun practice, but meditation is free. Buddhist practice is free. It's sitting, breathing, becoming aware of what you think, what you say, and what you do every moment of your life. Buddhist practice doesn't fix anything. It doesn't solve your problems. It probably won't even answer any of your questions. For me, what I've learned from this path is to become present with things as they truly are. Not how I want them to be, not how I wish they were, not how I hope they will be, but fully present in each moment with every experience. No past, no future, just present. And that for me is why, as I talked about at the beginning, that beginner's mind is so critical. That every moment you experience is exactly that moment. It's never been that way before. It'll never be that way again. I understand from a psychological standpoint these ideas of thinking positively and, someone mentioned the word hopeful. These things are very important. I mean, I talk about these things, but it doesn't mean that I can do them all. So to stay positive, to stay hopeful, to have a genuine positive outlook and a hopeful outlook is extremely important, especially during a time right now. But I also don't want to ignore the fact that, at least for me as a practitioner, Buddhist practice isn't about staying hopeful. It's about staying present. In this moment, this is like this. To me, that's where I found the most beauty in this practice. That when I sit down here, and I show up here Saturday morning at 11 o'clock for the last 10 years, that's the only thing that exists right now. Not thinking about anything else in the past or anything else in the future or anything else that's going on outside of this moment. Because the only thing that's occurring is this. Me sitting here in an empty meditation hall with Travis, staring at a camera. That's it. That is what's happening right now. Now, if I start to think about everything around here, then I go into, well, I want to stay positive. I want to be hopeful. I want to be joyful. I understand all of those things. But the more you learn to practice being present with things as they are, the less you'll find yourself having to almost talk ourselves into being positive or hopeful. Just be present. And in that present moment, things might suck. That's why I always say, especially for those who might be new, Buddhist practice doesn't fix things, it doesn't solve things, it doesn't even necessarily make things better. So with that being said, I prefer to use the rest of the time just to respond to questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with that I can address. And again, just go ahead and type the answers in or the questions in, and I'll give you some sort of response. Or I guess if you know the answer, you can just type that in as well. Travis will share it, and then I'll repeat it, and we'll go from there. Again, questions on meditation, Buddhist practice, or anything you're sitting with.
Bill shared, ironically, the fact that I am learning to be present in each moment brings me hope that I will have greater peace no matter what comes in the future.
So yeah, learning to be present brings great hope about the future. Is that it? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very beautiful way to look at it, that when we're present, I find it a lot easier to not be negative and angry or confused or worried or sad. And if we're coming from places of negativity or confusion or worry or sad, then it's really hard to stay positive and hopeful for the future. So if we can at least be in a more neutral, again, Buddhist teachings talk about pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. So if we can remain in this neutral place of things are like this, then since we are always going to look to the future, a couple meditations or years of reading this stuff doesn't mean you're just going to stop thinking about future. I don't anticipate that happening to any of us. But if you are going to anticipate the future, it's much more beneficial to be positive and hopeful. Thanks, Bill. Other questions, thoughts?
Jessica asked, can you speak to having a clean home and space?
Yeah, so important. Treat every place like it's a temple. I learned this a long time ago. And, if you think about, and this place will be different for everyone, but think about a place you go to, whether it's a temple, a meditation hall, a church, a yoga studio, potentially a library. I'm always fascinated at Buddha for You, how people roam and treat that space. But think about how you treat certain places in your life that are kind of on a more special place or a more spiritual place or a more alive place. Often they're not your own places, they're someone else's place. Think about when you're at someone else's house and you use the bathroom. You probably don't want to leave it a mess. In fact, most people treat other people's bathrooms nicer than they do their own. Might seem like a silly example, but I'm just trying to get us to begin to recognize how we tend to treat things that are not ours. Now, for me, and again, this was years ago I learned this, but the temple isn't a physical place only. It's in your mind, it's in your heart, and it is everywhere. So think about how you treat your car, if you have a car. When you're inside it, is it neat? Is it clean? Is it a mess? Have you actually paid attention to preparing the vehicle inside, or do you just have crap thrown everywhere? Now go to your house, to your room, to the kitchen. I often talk about cleaning your refrigerator, right? To your bedroom. Do you make your bed? Are things neatly organized, or is it all just crammed into that one closet drawer that you can just slam shut and pretend it's not there, right? There's a great talk, and maybe I'll post it in the Facebook group. I'll find it, but it was actually at I think it was a college graduation. It might have even been one of the military academies, but it was a high-ranking officer in the military, and he was giving the speech, and he talked. The whole topic was around making your bed. That everything starts with making your bed. Have you ever seen this talk? Yeah, it's really fascinating. And so as soon as you asked the question, the first thing I thought of was that. I just took a while to get there. And it starts with making your bed. Wake up, whatever time you get up. Sit up, get out of bed, and make your bed. Can you pay attention to treating that place properly? Do you even care what that looks like? And then you leave the bed area and you look at your surrounding area. Do you care what that looks like? Do you have laundry on the floor? Do you have, shoes thrown everywhere? Are your shelves a mess? Can you treat your home like you would a temple space? And right now, and I've talked about this a lot recently, for many of us, your home is the only thing you have to take care of because that's where you are. For years I've talked about people will come to the temple and they'll clean more here than they do at their house. I just thought of Normal's, I had an image of Normal in here every Saturday after meditation. He's sweeping, the temple floor. And I think it was him who joked one time about how he spent so much time cleaning here, but very little time cleaning at home. And I know that's the case for many people. But now you have an opportunity to pour that same focus, attention, love, and care into your room, into your home, into your refrigerator, into your bathrooms, into all of these places. Keep them clean. Care for them like you would somewhere else. It is a practice. That's why when we do the Day of Silence retreats, we have a 30-minute or 20-minute cleaning period. Because it allows you to care for something in a beautiful manner, which is practice. So hopefully that helps.
Mackenzie asked, how do you balance accepting the present moment when there are massive inequities in our world that require disruption? How do you balance working towards justice and being present? Yeah,
that's a great and very common question, phrased very beautifully. And this question, especially with people who are new to Buddhism, comes up probably once every 2 to 3 weeks. And if it doesn't come up, there's always somebody thinking it. And my first response is, I think of someone like Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Vietnamese Buddhist Zen monk, Zen master. And he was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King for his work with, social justice. And there is this often mistaken view, not necessarily that you're thinking this, but for anybody, that Buddhists, or the idea behind Buddhism is that you just accept things as they are and that you don't do anything about them and that you don't care about them. And Thich Nhat Hanh really coined the phrase, to my knowledge, engaged Buddhism, is that you engage in the world and you look at the horrific behavior that occurs around the world. You look at racism and how disgusting it is, and you engage in it in a very kind, compassionate, wise manner. You don't ignore it. You don't become oblivious to it. I, as a white male, have learned to become very aware of my privilege. And what that privilege gives me is an opportunity to do something about things like racism, as one example, and engage with people around that topic. Having been and around Buddhism for a long time, all it did was actually prepare me to engage with these types of issues more appropriately. Where years ago, certain issues may have just made me angry or pissed off, and then I would fight them with anger or frustration or ignorance. And what I've learned is if I'm bringing anger and hatred and ignorance into a situation that is filled with anger and hatred and ignorance, all I'm doing is adding more anger, hatred, and ignorance. So look at these issues, bring love, bring compassion, bring wisdom into them. But as I'm sure you can understand, anytime you've approached a situation with anger, it doesn't usually work out well. It might fuel you for a while, but you don't usually get any resolve from being angry at people or places or things. Nobody responds well to anger. So learn to be present with things as they are, see the things in the world that you don't like, and work to change them. All right? That's the Gandhi quote, right? Be the change that you wish to see in the world. So be that change. Don't just talk about the change. If you have a problem with racism and you don't like racism, then live accordingly to that. Be honest about that. And come from that place. But the world needs a lot of change. And I think the more people who practice what the Buddha taught around loving kindness and compassion and joy and equanimity and generosity and morality and patience and diligence and concentration and wisdom, the more you practice these things, the more you will change. And the more you change, the more the world around you will change. So, yeah, hope that's helpful.
So Bridget asked, what are the benefits of having a daily meditation practice versus a sporadic practice? And how does it impact our ability to integrate the Dharma?
Well, I think a sporadic meditation practice is great if it's sporadic every day. That's probably not what you meant. But you could have a sporadic practice, like I said, as long as it's, daily. I'm a huge advocate of telling people to sit and do meditation every single day, even if it's 5 minutes. If you don't have 5 minutes, do 3 minutes. If you don't have 3 minutes, do 3 deep breaths. If you're doing it once a week, once a month, you're going to have a difficult time. Imagine this, Bridget. Do you brush your teeth? This is where you would take time to type yes. Right? Hopefully. Do you brush your teeth every single day? Hopefully. All right? What happens if you don't brush your teeth for a day? Not the end of the world. What happens if you don't brush your teeth for a week? It gets pretty gross. What happens if you don't brush your teeth for a month? You're going to have some serious problem, right? Disease, breath, disgusting, right? A lot of problems can happen in your mouth if you don't brush your teeth for a month. Doesn't matter what time you brush your teeth. You don't have to do it at 7 a.m. every day or noon every day or 10 o'clock every day. Some of you may. But, as I always say, if there were a fire going on, first thing in the morning, most people would stop and brush their teeth before they left the house. But for some reason, we have a difficult time cultivating a daily meditation practice. Understand the priority of taking care of your mental, emotional health. Make that a priority. If you don't have a disciplined daily practice, put it on your calendar, write it down. Every one of you, probably within a foot from you, and I'm being generous, has one of these things. It's called a phone. It has a calendar on it. When we're done here, or now, pull up your calendar, put in meditation, 7 a.m., repeat daily. And never. And every single day, this alarm will go off telling you to meditate. And you might ignore it for 6 months, but every single day you'll think about doing it because your alarm's going to go off. Reminding you. Eventually you will sit and do your meditation practice. Make it a priority because you know it is, or you wouldn't ask the question. You have to put conditions in place to create discipline. Right? For me, when I started practice and I used to live a crazy life, I had to discipline the places I went to, the people I saw. Or I had to put kind of boundaries to create the discipline. Don't go here, because if you go here, you're going to do this. So I stopped going there. Don't see these people, because if you see these people, you're going to do this. So I stopped seeing these people. I had to create conditions that would allow me to cultivate the discipline that was necessary. And this is really getting to the point of your question, which is, what's the hindrance or the barriers with bringing the Dharma into your life if you don't have a daily meditation practice? Well, you first have to ask yourself, what is the benefit of having a daily meditation practice? And that's different for everyone. But less anger, less stress, less anxiety, less fear, less worry. Sum it up that way. Now the question of how does not having a daily practice impact your ability to bring the Dharma into your life? If you are constantly angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious, and worried, you're going to have a really hard time being loving and kind to yourself and others. So ask yourself those questions. How am I when I don't have a meditation practice on a regular basis? And how is that stopping me from bringing this into your life? Make it a habit, just like brushing your teeth. So hopefully that's helpful. And last thing I'll say is, most importantly, this practice is for others. Right? The motto for our college group is for the benefit of others. That we take care of us for us, I get it. Oxygen mask falls on the airplane, you put it on yourself first before the child. So you must take care of yourself first, but realize that as you're taking care of yourself, it benefits everybody around you. Same as the previous question, right? Of all the injustices going on around us, if we want to do anything to change them, you must take care of yourself first. Or you're just going to be an angry, pissed off person trying to change the world, and nobody's going to listen to you. So, we'll do one more question.
This one's a comment. Kathleen shared, I saw my sister taken to the hospital yesterday. Listening today, I realized my distress is about her suffering. I have my answer, listening. Clean my house. Respect for our surroundings as a temple.
Yeah, beautiful. I first, wish the best to your sister. Was sister, right? Said sister. For your sister. And, hope that she's okay. Hope you're okay. A big part of this practice, and this is not easy. This is what I was referencing earlier, especially, I think it was Mackenzie who's new and always for new people. We think that Buddhism is going to answer our questions or solve our problems or answer our prayers for, kind of a metaphor we're all used to. Buddhism sometimes makes things hurt more because we have to face the reality, the truth as it is. And that reality and that truth is we are going to experience pain and suffering in our lives and in the lives of those around us. And in a time like this, that's a horrific thing to go through because it's forcing us, we don't have a choice, to let go of the one thing that causes so much pain and suffering in our life, which is control. And if the world wasn't the way it is right now, I'm sure you wouldn't just be watching your sister, you would be with your sister. And you can't right now, most likely. Without knowing anything about the situation, but that's the situation millions of people around the world are in, right? And you can't be there. And you have many options, but one of those options is to feel that anger and hatred, or it's to appreciate that you are alive, you have an opportunity to care for your mind and your heart, and to send love and wishes to your sister while peacefully doing something in your home, because in all likelihood, that's about all you can do right now. So, I feel for you, truly. And that response wasn't just for you specifically, it was really for everyone who might be going through that situation right now. It's rough. This is one of the hardest times I think many people have ever had to go through. If you're facing a situation like that. Some people are saying, "No, I love it. I just get to stay home." And some people are faced with situations like this that it's beyond words what that feels like. So again, I hope you're all okay. So with that, we'll close. We'll join palms. May the benefit of this practice be shared with all beings in all directions. May all be at peace. May all be free from suffering. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to Kathleen's sister and to Kathleen and her family and friends and anyone else at this time who needs it most. May they all be at peace and free from suffering. May we all be at peace and free from suffering. So a few quick announcements before you head off. Thanks for being here. My name is Jeff. I'm a Dharma bum. We opened this temple 14 years ago to introduce meditation and Buddhist practice to local folks. Those of us who lead, we're not monks, we're not nuns, we're not gurus, we're not masters, we're not teachers, we're not looking for students. We're just practitioners. We do our best to take our understanding of Buddhist teachings and put it into terms that hopefully make sense to those who show up. Every night since we've shut down, which was March 12th, so we're coming up on 2 months. Almost our entire schedule is online now. Tuesday, Wednesday night, Thursday night, we're on YouTube. I do the Tuesday intro to Buddhism meditation. Alex does the Wednesday night loving kindness metta practice. Travis does Thursday night Dharma Bum basics and meditation. Every other class throughout the week is on Zoom. Our family sangha is meeting. Our recovery sangha is meeting. Our college group is meeting. Our teenage group is meeting. Our day of silence has returned. That's the first Saturday of the month, so it's 4 hours of silence from your house, which includes a cleaning meditation, so you can clean your refrigerator or whatever else you want to clean. That would actually be fun. Did we specifically instruct people to clean their fridge or just anything?
We gave a few suggestions.
A few suggestions, okay. So all our schedules online. Go to the website, thedharmabums.org. You'll see the calendar there. Click on it, open it up, and there will be the link of how to join. The morning meditation every Monday through Friday is, I think it was Bridget who asked about routine. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8:30, we are sitting through Zoom. So it's our same morning crew that led it here. Natalie started again our Tuesday afternoon meditation and discussion. So you have no excuse to not start a daily meditation practice. Actually, I lied. You have a million excuses to not start a daily meditation practice. Abandon them quickly. Other than that, please just be safe. Continue to take care of yourself, your loved ones as much as you can. Stay home, all those things. I get it. People are lacking patience and they're tired of being locked inside. But we're also tired of watching people get sick and die. So stay home. Other than that, thanks for being here. Best practice I was ever taught was think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. And I found that to be the heart of Buddhist teachings. So thank you, be safe, and good luck.